And joining us now, the mayor of Los Angeles, Democrat Eric Garcetti. He is backing Joe Biden for president, and California playing big, Joe.
Mr. Mayor, I talked to you a couple of, maybe 18 months ago. A lot of people were pressuring you to run for president. You didn't think it was time. You had a lot of work left to do in Los Angeles, so you deferred and have now decided to support Joe Biden for president. Why?
Well, you know, I know Joe, and Joe did more in this city to raise our minimum wage, make community college free, help us with climate change, win the Olympics. But he's just a great guy and a great American, somebody who everybody knows this man's heart, and nobody's been through more. Nobody has, I think, a bigger heart than him. But he also can deliver progress. He's not just somebody who has great plans for progress, which I respect. He's actually delivered them, and I was with him all day yesterday. He's energetic. You can see how steely, how ready, how fired up he is, and it's been exciting. He put together a coalition, and Super Tuesday certainly lived up to its name for Joe. It was a Super Tuesday.
Mr. Mayor, we have the Associated Press's Jonathan Lemire with us, and we're going to let him ask you a question so long as it doesn't involve the two words Mookie Betts. Go ahead, John.
Mr. Mayor, there's a few of us on this set who are in a state of mourning about that trade, so we won't talk about it. Take good care of it for us.
And we keep saying, you know, stealing signs is a crime, so I just want to remind that for all teams out there.
Oh, well, that's a. Hey, you guys certainly have a beef with the Astros, no doubt about that. But let me ask you, let's focus again on the election yesterday.
Yes.
In terms of, you know, we don't have NBC's not made the call yet. Just wanted to see what your sense of the enthusiasm was. You were around the city yesterday in support for Biden and Sanders. But more specifically, I want to drill down on something you said yesterday, where you said that Mike Bloomberg needed to offer an explanation to voters for his subpar performance yesterday. Explain what you meant, and more specifically, are you now saying that Mike Bloomberg, after not winning any contest yesterday outside of American Samoa, should he drop out?
I never make that decision for anybody running for office, and he's a super guy, been a great mentor, an amazing philanthropist. But I think I said if the thesis was Super Tuesday is going to be good, I think you need a new thesis and to really consider what the impact on the race is. This is a time for us to focus on Donald Trump. I think Mike Bloomberg has been focused on Donald Trump properly so, and I thank him for that. And now it's a time to kind of bring forces together, because we built a coalition, a real coalition here in unexpected places. Oklahoma, which Sanders won last time, we won. I was in East LA with the vice president yesterday and saw just enthusiasm on the street with everyday folks that were there in South Los Angeles. So it is time, I think. I know that that's going to happen with the campaign. I've talked to a lot of candidates who have dropped out recently, and I know that's a very tough thing to go through, but Mike is guided by the data, and the data was pretty clear last night.
Yeah, I want to bring Claire McCaskill back into the conversation. Claire, you've been looking more closely at the results in California. What are you seeing?
I had a conversation with a national level pollster who's looked at the numbers, and I'd love the mayor to correct this if he thinks it may not be right. But according to this source, yesterday's vote, the same day vote in California, Bernie came in third on the same day vote. That in fact, Biden won in the same day voting in California yesterday, which also leads me to the question, Mayor, you had a problem. People were waiting in line way too long for a state that has tried to make voting easy. Why was it so damn hard yesterday?
Well, our county here had a new system. It's not run by the city, but I was with my wife. You know, she finished up at 9:45 last night. It was heartbreaking to see working parents who just had to leave that line because it was a 2-3 hour wait. Great new system, but not enough people were there. So that's something that the county of Los Angeles will absolutely have to correct. But I think you're right with that polling data. A lot of the late-breaking voters were certainly going towards Biden. But Bernie's also run an incredible campaign out here with a ton of enthusiasm. And I really want to say to all the Bernie supporters that are out there, as I've said, if Bernie wins this, I'm 100% behind him. And we need the same thing of those supporters when Joe Biden is the nominee, should he win. I think it's a really important moment not to let the White House kind of get excited because we're all divided. And that's going to be absolutely critical. But point taken, and we're certainly pushing our county to make sure that doesn't happen again last night.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, it's Heilman. I just want to pick up on something you said a second ago about Senator Sanders. You know, the Times right now, the New York Times, is projecting that if, about when all is said and done in California, Joe Biden's going to be ahead by about 60 pledged delegates. That's a pretty narrow lead. It's we have proportional allocation of delegates, so it's hard to catch up even when you have a small gap, but it's going to be a fight. This race is not going to end anytime soon. Bernie Sanders is going to fight. He's got the money. He's got a hardcore support. But the one thing he hasn't had, and the reason that he did poorly last night to a large extent, is the fact that he's not broken through yet with African-American voters. That's a fact. And another fact is he could still be the Democratic nominee. So what would you say to Bernie Sanders about trying to address that problem? You got to perform better with African-American voters to be the nominee, and you got to perform well with them in order to have them turn out for you in the fall. And if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, he's going to need those votes. So what's your advice to Bernie Sanders to address this one big failing of his campaign so far?
Well, I'm an advisor to Joe Biden, not to Bernie Sanders right now, but, we could flip the same thing and say about Latinos with Joe Biden. I think either candidate needs to make sure that we are speaking to both communities that are often taken for granted. I'm Latino here. It's been wonderful to see folks focusing on more than immigration. As Jennifer Medina said, we also care deeply about community college, which we made free and the Bidens helped us do. But for African-American voters, they know Joe Biden. They know his heart. I don't think it's a rejection of Bernie. It's a deep love of, and I saw that yesterday. We went to a restaurant in South LA that Barack Obama had visited. We were there with the head of the Congressional Black Caucus, Karen Bass, and there was just a deep reservoir of love. And I always say people don't vote just where they are on the political spectrum, especially when you're picking president. They vote on an emotion, a feeling. We're electing a parent. And to the African-American community, there is a deep sense that this is one of the fathers of our nation right now and one that can restore it.
Mr. Mayor, Willie Geist, on another matter, I want to ask you about the coronavirus. A new case reported in your city yesterday, 2 more earlier in the day in Orange County. Here in New York City, the message seems to be wash your hands, be vigilant, don't touch your face, but go about your lives. What are you telling the citizens of Los Angeles this morning?
Well, much more than that, and I think we're preparing to declare our states of emergency out here to be prepared for federal assistance. But we're seeing those cases begin to pop up now. I think this week we will see more. That's my sense. And also, it's not just about washing our hands. It's about making sure that some of our greatest vulnerabilities, for instance, our senior care facilities, where there aren't vents that prevent the transmission of coronavirus, where we have medical personnel that don't have the protective measures you see in hospitals, and also in our community clinics, which are soon going to be overwhelmed. We need more federal help to make sure these tests are free, to make sure there's enough tests, and that we can do this mobile or even drive-through so that people aren't overwhelming medical personnel. So right now we're very focused on that. We're in charge of the 4th busiest airport in the world and the busiest port in the Americas. The city oversees both of those. So we're making sure, working with our federal authorities to screen folks and do everything that we can so that we all own this responsibility.
So you think that state of emergency is coming soon, Mr. Mayor?
Probably. I mean, we have 5 counties, 6 counties, I believe, in California already, and I think it's just a matter of time.
All right, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thanks.
We
Great to be with you guys.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.